Good day, grade 11s. So for this week, we're going to look at database management. So one word or one abbreviation you need to know, DBMS, is a database management system. So it's the software that will allow us to manipulate the database, to work with it, to make our work easier to actually do that. So things we can do with this, we can create databases, create tables, add data, delete information, and all of those things. Advantages of having one is we can share data. Data is independent in the sense that our data is not linked to a particular program. We can actually use a variety of like Delphi applications, whatever, and all of them can work from the same database. So that's a nice thing of having that. There's data security, better integrity, controlled redundancy, data consistency. All these things are benefits of having DBMS, because database software like this will actually make sure that the data integrity is correct in our tables, that the links work fine. It will give us security. It allows for faster development and all of these things. Okay, so popular ones is Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Microsoft Access is the one we're going to use, Blackfish, MySQL. There's a lot of them actually out there that you could use. Okay, so database types. We have to basically choose between desktop or server. You'll see. So what we'll look at is to choose between desktop or server. Then what is a distributed database, and then what software should be used. So the first one between a desktop or server is you basically have to ask how big is the database going to be, and accessibility, meaning who's going to access it. Does the whole company, and how big is the company? Is there a lot of people that needs to access the database, or only few people? And are all these people in the same office, or in the different buildings, or on different floors? All of that will make a difference. So for a desktop database, it runs off one desktop. So it runs locally. All the resources needs to be there. One or two tier architecture, and supports one user at a time, because one person can use that and everything is on there. So if a lot of people need to work with it at the same time, this is not an ideal one. And the whole database is stored on that one computer. So the next one is a distributed database. What this does, it actually allows us to break the database up a bit. Okay, it is a database that runs on a server, first of all. Multiple users can connect to it. It is stored locally at your organization's premises or anywhere online or on the cloud. All the resources that are allocated to the database are being shared amongst all of the users and are connected to it at any instance. It supports multi-user. So it's run online, resources can be used, multiple people can connect it at the same time, and yeah. Okay, so a distributed database, or database that is not stored or run from a single computer or server. So this one on top here, they actually confused the words. This is not actually a distributed database. This is actually server database. They try to explain here. Because a distributed means separated. So the database is spread out over multiple servers. While this one they just explained here was it's still on one server. So this is just a server database. So please just check, this is a mistake in the textbook. Our distributed one is not run on a single computer. Normally they use the cloud, they use the internet to break it up for us. Places where you could use this is, let's say a company, there's a big company in South Africa, let's say Coca-Cola. And the manufacturing plant is in Johannesburg, but let's say their main advertising offices is in Cape Town. So they could have a distributed database in the sense that they've got a database that's shared and that's stored, let's say in Johannesburg, But in Johannesburg, everything from the manufacturing plant and the distribution is all the tables that has to do with that is stored in Johannesburg. But then all the tables that has to do with the employees and the sales figures and all those things are stored in Cape Town. But thanks to our virtual type software and the internet, it allows us to actually combine those two sets into one. So if a person, let's say from Empangeni, wants to connect to the Coca-Cola network, um, and then they look at it, it will actually seem like everything is in one place. Because that person, let's say it's the boss that connects from Empangeni, he can actually still see everything that's happening in manufacturing plant. He can see everything that's happening in the marketing offices. So it looks like it's one database, but the place where it's stored, the physical location of the files, is separated between two different locations, and that's why it's called a distributed database. Benefits of this is for security, but also for speed, in that everything that's needed in Johannesburg is stored locally there, so they can access it quicker, and everything that's needed in Cape Town is stored locally there, so it's quicker to access. But it does not mean a person in Johannesburg cannot access the marketing. They can still access it. Now you'll just have to depend on your network speed and all of those things. Okay, then there's some case studies. Okay, so database careers we get. Um, they do change frequently. So there's a lot of new careers that come in every day. But you get a database administrator. So that's the person that designs and builds databases, provide access to the data, defining the users. So he's like the main one that creates a database and then decides who can have access to what. The programmer helps him to create a database, and then the programmer will actually create all the queries and those technical things around the database to make the database work efficiently. Our analyst is the database analyst, is the person that will analyze and plan for the database. They will actually look at the company and see what are the technical requirements needed for this database to do everything the company wants it to do. Project manager, he's just in charge of managing the times of when what must be done, like developing the schedules, looking at the goals, but also then monitoring the flow and the movement of this database until it's completed. Alright, and that's our chapter for this week. Good luck, people. Enjoy. See you in class.